Greetings, everyone. So, I wanted to talk to you about how yoga has saved my life and about the calling I got that I needed to teach yoga. So, let's start with how it started for me. So, I kind of have to go way back a bit, go back a bit and tell you what my story is. So, at one time in my life, I weighed over 400 pounds. I struggled with weight all my life. And it's still a struggle. It's not over. Hopefully, it will be. But I know what I have to do to maintain. And that can be hard at times. But anyway, I grew up on a dairy farm, my grandparents. Um, we had our own house, my parents, but we were only a couple hundred feet away from the farm itself. So that's to me, that's where I grew up. But we hayed the fields, I worked in the fields. I threw hay bales around when you could throw hay bales around, and went for walks with my grandmother. We were very active. So I didn't really come from small people either. Um, Very hefty Scotch Irish people. So it was a struggle from a teenager. Basically, once I put through puberty, did pretty well, and then just things, uh, life just it just took over like a beast. But through all that, I did not remain curled up in a bedroom or anything like that. I was very active. I had to be. I'm that type of person that has to be active. So let me not go on too long here. So later in my life, I found belly dance and fell in love with it. I got a way to express myself. I didn't, I felt welcome in the dance class, and it was beautiful. So in our warm ups, we started with yoga. And so that really intrigued I was like fascinated. I really wanted to learn it. But every time I went to a class, it was the so called beginner's class. And it was like to me, it felt like an advanced class. These are people that have been doing yoga, they've been at it for a while, and they knew what they were doing. I had no clue. I felt left out, left behind. Like, who's going to really teach me? I from dance class, I knew Cobra, I knew, a few poses, but that was it. I didn't really know anything. So fast forward other years, and I ended up in Massachusetts and studying herbalism at Wise Way Herbals. And then later I went on to study at Blazing Star and got my certificate in therapeutic herbalism. And during that time and after, I ended up meeting Sierra Benda when she was kind of basically starting out. So I knew she was coming to Krapala, which is not far from where I live, an easy few hours drive, beautiful drive. And so I decided that I would go to Goddess to the Core workshop. And so I did. And that really empowered my life in a lot of ways, And I also, when I was working and studying herbs, I also participated in ceremonies from North and South America, indigenous ceremonies. So I had like this solid foundation of where I wanted to go in my life, but I wasn't sure how until I really started to dig in to yoga. I followed Sierra for a long time. I always wanted to do her workshops, boot camp for goddesses, and it just never came to pass. And then I was on a healing journey. I had found the keto diet, which is high fat diet, like cures like. That's a principle in herbalism. So that made sense to me. And I heard testimony from people. So it was when I went out and started reading tarot in public that I came across one of the first places I went. It was a seminar also about heart health. And that's where I saw speakers about the keto and how it changed their lives. They got off medications, just overall improvement of health, plus the weight loss. So I said, I'm going to do that. And I did. And it took a few months before anything for, any results, but I didn't give up because this was my last prayer. This was it. I was either going to happen or it wasn't, and I would just live my life to my fullest potential. So it worked really well. I got 100 pounds off, and then I got stuck. And I remember me wanting to learn all about yoga, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why don't I try that again? A lot of it was online now. I could do me and wouldn't have to worry, about being seen in class and trying to keep up with everybody else. So I found Rama Institute, and yes, there is controversy over that. But number one, I wasn't there in person. Number two, I was not looking for a guru. I'm my own higher power. I was looking for mentors and teachers. I was not looking for a guru. And I joined the Aquarian Leadership Society with Guru Jagat before she passed. And, like I said, I wasn't there in LA. This was all online. So I had a beautiful experience. I learned a lot. I started by just doing the breathing and chanting and breathing and chanting. And I would sit there and literally sit in my easy chair and visualize myself actually doing the movements. And little by little, I was able to accomplish that. I could not put my arm up over my head at that time. I couldn't hold it for any length of time at all. It was very painful for me. My back was always in pain. There's always something in my body that hurt. And I still have issues. They haven't totally melted away, but they've improved. They have totally improved. So I found Rama. And then if you know anything about Rama, Guru Jagat, who was a young entrepreneur, died suddenly. So I left. It just didn't feel the same after that. And I was searching, and I was told I needed to teach. And then I found Yogamoo Online, which is out of India. So it's the traditional Indian teachings of yoga. And that has been an amazing blessing in my life. And I am still studying now. I have completed my 200 YTT, my 100 in meditation, chair in Shinya yoga, yoga philosophy. Now, this was put in my lap for a reason, right? So I've continued with that. I am working on my 200 Kundalini yoga, and I'm going to speak to you about that in a minute. I also have 300 to complete. And then also I need to complete my 200 in meditation. So I'm kind of halfway there with everything. So by the time I'm done, I think I'll have like 1,200 hours or something in yoga study. So it's interactive. We've done a lot of Zoom classes, and a lot of it's recording. But again, I can study at my own pace. I can go with my body and do what my body wants. So the style of yoga that I'm trained in is by, let me look at my picture over here, by Sage Pajari. That is the ancient teachings of yoga. My 200 YTT is in multi-style yoga. So I'm going to speak to you a little bit about that. And then what I bring to the table when I teach. So breath is the most important thing. Most people do not breathe right. They do not breathe with their belly and the diaphragms, and they breathe very shallowly, and then they breathe with their shoulders. So breath is important. Life force is pranayama, but breath is breath. And breath is life force. So that's an integral part of it. What we call asanas are only means to sit. It's not really body postures. It just means to sit. So you can meditate. So what I fell in love with the Kundalini yoga, I was not interested in my Kundalini rising. I'm like, if it does, I'm at the point now, if it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That was never my objective. My objective was my health and improving my stamina and, overall health. But in retrospect and where I'm at, and I've looked at all the things I've gone through, I've had my opinion. I'm going to go into this, and I didn't mean to come up with this so soon. Going through menopause, that's a Kundalini experience if you allow it to be, in my belief. I believe women are prone to having Kundalini experiences and they don't even know it because it opens you up. It's the rise of the feminine energy. That's what Kundalini is. It's the rise of the feminine. From the seat, it is said to lay coiled at the bottom of your spine, and it rises. So after experiencing a lot of heat with the Kundalini exercises that I do, especially from the Indian tradition, which is different what was brought to the East, to me, a hot flash was very similar. And I embraced it. I was so happy. And I'm like, oh, these hot flashes. And I still occasionally have them. But I think it's more the Kundalini energy. But I embraced my hot flash. One night I just went into the hot flash. I said, if I'm going to have hot, let's just burn, 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 burn. And I allowed myself to go into that fire, and I allowed myself to burn. And I truly believe that is a Kundalini awakening. I think it's men that have trouble because they don't have the same energy system that women do. So for them, I think it's harder and I think it's scarier. And I don't think it's dangerous. I think that is because it can happen spontaneously from an injury to the butt to a traumatic event. And a lot of people don't even know that's what's happening to them. And that's the issue. They have no idea that this happened because our culture does not embrace it. Our culture does not even embrace the seasons of life, you know, the season of, of going through puberty and then the season of going through menopause. That is a right. That is a rite of passage into the wisdom. And where does that wisdom come from? It comes from the energy of fire, which is the Kundalini energy. and it is our birthright. It is in our bodies. So that's my thought on that. But what I teach, but the caveat that I'm taught is that all yoga is Kundalini yoga. All yoga is meant to awaken you and inspire you and open you up to divine, into the divine consciousness. Islam, what has happened with yoga, it has been picked up by the fitness and industry and elevated into something it is not. It is not all downward facing dog. It is not all sun salutations. It is not sitting cross-legged on the floor. It is so much more than that. First of all, it is learning how to breathe. If you don't breathe right, you're never gonna heal. And that's the thing, what Kundalini energy does is it heals. That's what yoga does. Is it been scientifically proven to change your brain chemistry. It has been scientifically proven that mantra changes your brain for the better. We all have this innate power within us to heal ourselves. And that's what yoga does for us. This winter, last couple of years, I got a little off track because I was doing a lot of the hard study and not the physical study. Now I'm doing the physical study. So hopefully you'll see me change over time. So my style of yoga is bringing together what I learned from Sierra. That's a part of me. That's like, huh, I am a 21st century goddess. Don't ever forget that. It's the asanas, it's positions. Most of all, it's breathing and mantra and yoga nidra. Because yoga nidra helped me get through nights when I went through a period of ill health where I did not sleep because of an underlying infection, a UTI. And that yoga helped bring me out of that as I started to heal from that. So that's what it does for me. And so I'll be showing you some samples, and then I will have my classes up for sale, videos that you can purchase, because one of my instructors, one of my mentors, like I said, I don't need a guru, but one of my mentors suggested that you never give it away, that it's an energy exchange. So don't go throwing all these videos over the internet about yoga. Bring people in, and that's my intention. I will give you like 10-minute segments so you can get a taste and a flavor for what I do and what I'm about. And you will see, if you stick with it, it will change your life. It will change the way you will get in touch with your body. Most people are not in their bodies nowadays. They don't feel, they don't really think. They're just going through the motions. Do you feel like you're just going through the motions of everyday life? You never cry. You're never really happy. You're never really sad. You don't feel. That's because you're not grounded within your body. Yoga can bring you to that. Yoga can help you ground in your body. It can also make you, if you don't ground enough, you can be up here in your head too much. That's why in the Kundalini yoga, in the tradition that I am studying in, we work with the chakras. And the chakras are all about the energy centers of the body that corresponds with all the organs in the body. So when you are working the chakras, they are working specific organs in your body. A twist, works the midline, what's at the midline? Your liver, your kidneys, your spleen, right? Your stomach. That's all being worked when you do something like this. And you don't have to do a half hour of that. That's the thing. It doesn't have to be a big production. It can be calm and relaxed. So that's what I bring. And also, when one of my Zoom classes that we did through teaching, I taught some belly dance because that's fun. So it's having fun, getting to know your body, learning to breathe, and also learning to relax. If you don't breathe and sweat a little, it's harder to relax. I think this is getting a little bit longer than I wanted. So I'm going to end here. So look forward to 10-minute snippets about yoga, and I will have a full class up soon. I don't know exactly how long that will be. I'm guessing about 45 minutes because if I record it through Zoom, I only have 40 minutes. So it will, or whatever it is, 45 right now. So that's a good limit because you don't want to overwhelm yourself when you start. You don't need to do an hour and a half. You just need to do it and participate and show up. So hopefully you will show up for yourselves very soon. Many blessings.